Sit in my car, I'm watching a fuel gauge. I'm scanning the back page, I'm looking it up. Lay in the room, I live in a suitcase. I join a rat race.
Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Punters Club in Brunswick Street, Fitzroy, Victoria. So in the 70s and 80s there were a lot of live music venues opening up all over Australia and yeah, just attracting and drawing lots of crowds. Now one of the very first venues in Fitzroy was the one called Too Effin' Much Ballroom. Now at about the same time there were places like the Punters Club, the Evelyn Hotel, 3RRR and Polyester Records, and all of this kind of made for a very vibrant and interesting scene around Brunswick Street. If you know Brunswick Street, it is still very funky, I think, and just very unique. So the Punters Club began in about 1987, and when the Moonee Valley Hotel was rebranded as a live music venue thanks to Rob Guerini and Rick DiPietro. So how do you describe the Punters Club? Look, on any given night you might be in for some indie, rock, electronica, country, metal, blues, pop, ska, you name it. I wanted to ask you firstly about the Punters Club. What can you tell me about the Punters Club? What are your memories of it?
Well, my memories of it started in 1988, I guess, and went through to about 2001 maybe. I think it closed in 2002 and it opened in 87, but it was one of the first places that the first incarnation of Have a Nice Day was able to get a gig. That's with that's us there.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. I love that.
That's Glenn Lewis.
That's awesome.
He went on to be Gioia, and he plays with McHarvey now and everything, but we played at the Punters Club a few times. We used to get support gigs. And then in 1989, that was our first ever headline gig at the Punters Club because the headlining act didn't turn up. So
oh, wow. Fantastic.
That was we hit the big time, and we played to about 6 weeks. But it was still we were headlining.
The venue did help to launch the careers of many Australian bands, and I guess the vibe was cool. The performances were, you know, just raw and real, and people kind of just loved hanging out there. Like-minded people that just, yeah, shared a passion for music. So here I am in Fitzroy looking for the Punters Club. 376 Brunswick Road, Fitzroy. And I believe it's right in front of me. There it is there. It looks like it's called QP. No idea what that is. There's a baby doll up the top there. So here it is. Former live music venue, the Punters Club in Fitzroy. Life could be so sweet.
Garden birds are singing, the sun is shining on their path. The wind is talking to the flowers, the dogs and cats all take a bite. And if you stop that talking, you can hear the traffic sigh. Throw away those keys, start walking, watch those tiny things go by. Accidentally Cali Street, where friends and strangers.
Bands. Lots of bands played at the Punters Club. A lot of local bands from Melbourne, but also a lot of bands from interstate. So here we go. I'll try to rattle off a few of them. Alcatomics, Ammonia, The Avalanches, Body Jar, Blue Bottle Kiss, Black Eyed Susans, Chris Wilson, Cruel Sea, Dan and Al, Don Walker, Dave Graney and Claire Moore, Klinger, Cosmic Psychos, The Fauves, Fireballs, Frente, Have a Nice Day, Hummingbirds, Holocene, Hugo Race and True Spirit, John Spencer Blues Explosion, Kim Salmon, Mavises, Magic Dirt, Molar, Mike Patton and DJ Schizo, Powderfinger, Regurgitator, Rat Cat, Ruck Rover, Ripe, Roland Howard, Screen Feeder, Something for Kate, Silverchair, The Simpletons, Spiderbait, The Meanies, Tism, Talot, Tumbleweed, Underground Lovers, Weddings, Parties, Anything, Ollie Olsen, Wild Pumpkins at Midnight, Waxworks, and UMI. So other things that were going on that influenced music and, you know, the cultural sort of aspect of it, things like Double J in Sydney, they extended their reach nationwide. The Big Day Out festivals, they were touring in every state. And that's sort of spawned local festivals like Home Bake, which were very Australian in their makeup. Record companies, they were splashing out checks willy-nilly, and the scene sort of changed and became very vibrant very quickly. Angie Hart. Angie was only 16 when she actually was a regular at the Punters Club, where one of the bartenders actually asked her to join his band, and that band was Frente.
I have a lot of warm, fond memories. So kind of pinnacle. We always loved playing there because the bar staff were fantastic. They were musicians as well, most of them. The door staff were musicians too. Wow. And so it was just a really beautiful, familiar kind of clubhouse to go to, and you always felt welcome. They always paid you properly and gave you a good rider. So I think Frente even started playing there early on because the Barb and Simon was in Frente as well. So,
yeah, you know, there were other bands that also were attracting big audiences like the Mavises, who I love, Magic Dirt, Silverchair, Tumbleweed, and my favourite, Something for Kate. So they started attracting the attention of all these, you know, record labels. Chris Wilson, I love Chris Wilson. He played at the Punters a lot, and there's this fantastic photo of Chris with a photo of the sign that says the Chris Wilson Room. How fantastic. What a fabulous artist. Chris is so fantastic. He really should, if you haven't sort of seen his stuff or heard his stuff, check him out. He's fabulous. I wanted to mention Jane Gazzo. Jane is an absolute legend in the music industry. She works behind the scenes or in front of the scenes sometimes. Some of you might remember her from Recovery, Triple J. She's just been someone who's an authentic and passionate music lover, and that's what I love about her. She actually was a regular at the Punters Club, and she called it her university of life growing up in that sort of Brunswick Street area. So I wanted to mention Jane as well because with Scott Furling, they've created this fantastic Facebook page. It's called the Sound as Ever Australian Indie 1990 to 1999. It's just a fantastic page. Check it out. It's on Facebook. You'll love it. Also, I wanted to mention 3 women who were booking bands at the Punters Club early on. Anne Harding, Linda Gabar and Lorinda Jane. Well done, ladies. Fantastic work. Richard Moffat, he also was a band booker at both the Evelyn Hotel and the Punters Club, and I think the Corner as well at one stage. Yeah, so he enjoyed the fact that the Punters just had, you know, a fantastic musical style, like all kinds of styles. It was a melting pot of people from all scenes who came in to just soak up the atmosphere and just enjoy themselves. Richard also produced the Punter's Guide Form, which was really good reading. It was just like a fanzine that had articles, ads, reviews, and it just kind of promoted a lot of the bands. And Janelle Johnson, she actually, I think, booked bands after Richard. Craig Camber, he's also someone I wanted to talk about because he organised and was instrumental in producing the Punters Club reunion gigs. I think 2 of them occurred, one in 2010 at the Corner and one last year in 2022 at Abbotsford. It was just paying homage to the musicians who kind of helped shape the Melbourne music scene. And yeah, from all accounts, it was fabulous, a great turnout, and yeah, what a great thing to do. Paul Dempsey from Something for Kate, he recalls his first ever gig at the Punters Club in 1994, and he said that they were as sloppy as anything, but they just went for it, they got carried away, and he said it was one of the first and only gigs that they'd had, but on that night, the house sound guy actually approached them and offered them work, and so he said that from then on, it just suddenly seemed that they had work every week, so well done, that house sound guy. Look, as well, in April of 2000, on a Wednesday night, there was an advertisement for the Checkout Chicks. However, everybody knew that that was actually the Living End who were playing that time. Dan and Al have actually said that the Punters Club was one of their favourites, and they were actually an iconic kind of institution at the place, and they played there every Sunday for years until they moved to the Corner Hotel. I wanted to talk about TISM. TISM actually played at the Punters about 2 weeks before it closed, and apparently one night the guitarist actually accidentally knocked the roof with his guitar, and one of the insulation bats fell out, so they actually pulled out as many bats as they could, and by this stage the crowd sort of had them, they were tearing them apart, and there was just this cloud of insulation bats dust throughout the room while the band was playing. Screamfeeder played a memorable gig in 2000 where punters recall the smashing of guitars. Mick Thomas from Weddings, Parties, Anything, he's got a great memory where he recalls the floor, the ground actually swallowing half his audience. Apparently the whole side of the room just collapsed one night, and he said 150 people just disappeared straight into the hole. They stopped playing, nobody was hurt, they all dusted themselves off, and apparently they finished the gig. Dan Luscombe, he said his first gig, Black Eyed Susans, 3 songs in, the house lights came on. Apparently the whole club had to be evacuated because there was a bomb threat. Someone said there was a bomb in the pinball machine. So the cops came, the bomb squad came, no bomb, and apparently it was the singer from the support band who was disgruntled because they wouldn't let him enter the stage, or he couldn't make his stage entrance riding his Harley through the crowd. Yep. Adelita from Magic Dirt, she talks about her memories of the Punters Club in an interview with Jane Gazzo. As well, Jane interviewed Matt from the Mavises. I mean, I know in Sydney a lot of our former venues closed for various reasons, whether it was pokies, whether it was, just all those gentrification of the suburbs. Do you know why the Punters Club did close?
I'm not 100% sure, but there was a lot of noise complaints because, the people moved in that could afford to live there, which wasn't us.
Yeah.
So then, they moved in because they loved the fact that there was that really lively pub on the corner, but not when they were trying to sleep at night, I guess. But in particular, there were a lot of noise complaints that really shut the doors for a lot of venues in Melbourne because I guess they couldn't afford the fines on top of supporting the bands. And it was just a constant struggle and so stressful for people who'd been able to operate a business, which is stressful enough, but then to have that additional threat as a constant, I think
that's interesting because exactly the same thing was happening in Sydney.
Yeah.
Which is sad, which is really sad. And in fact, I think there was a point where even if one person complained in Sydney, it was enough for, the council and people to sort of start to move in and try to, they sort of seem to favour the residents more than the culture of that town.
Yeah.
Stephen Cummings, he wrote an article in The Age in 2002 about the closure of the Punters Club. He kind of said that a lot of his musician friends were gnashing their teeth and talking about hard times, but he said that he felt that they were overreacting. He said that a lot of the significant venues and gigs were at the Corner Hotel, the Punters, the Evelyn and the Town Hall and the Continental. And Stephen says that he actually still believes Melbourne to be a music city. It's blessed by a variety of alternative community stations that support local musicians. And as well, there are lots of friendly bars, restaurants and clubs that are very inclusive of music. So he seems to think there's not too much to gnash teeth over just yet. And that was at the time. Matt Everett, he actually took over the club in 93, and he says that during the late 90s, Brunswick Street began to change. There were more mainstream establishments that were cropping up, and he said the rents did go up, and when the lease renewal came for the Punters Club in 2002, he saw continuing as unsustainable. So he said closure was purely a business decision. He did say that, you know, Brunswick Street had closed. The people who used to live around Brunswick Street were the people who drank at the Punters Club. Now that it was a higher rent area, the regulars had all moved out, so the club actually closed its doors on the 17th of February 2002 with a 12-hour music marathon. Apparently the Melbourne band, the Lucksmiths, they wrote a song called Requiem for the Punters Club as a tribute to the venue. And look, you know, the last drinks, the doors were open for free. They had bands on all day from about 3 o'clock until late at night. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this Punters Club trip down memory lane. I will be ending it with a Zoom chat that I had with Fiona Lee Maynard. Fiona is from Have a Nice Day, fantastic band that played regularly at the Punters Club and all over Melbourne. And yeah, I really think that, you know, Fiona shares some great insights and has some great memories of the Punters Club. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I will be completing some more vlogs about former live music venues in Victoria and in New South Wales. And yeah, just hope that you're enjoying them. Cheers.
You've been drinking, 'cause it's not too late to start. There's still a week before they come and pull the place apart. And I was thinking, I have sorrows to be drowned, to complete, to contemplate, without a friend around. On Brunswick Street, the bits of broken glass sparkle brighter than the 6 or 7 stars.